In this video, we are introducing the CoSpace robot that you're going to be using. The robot you're using is fitted with a variety of different sensors and motors. It has a compass sensor at the top of the robot that measures the direction you are heading in degrees. It has 4 ultrasound sensors that measure the distance of objects in front of the sensor, mounted on the front, left and right, and also the back of the robot. It also has 2 colour sensors that measure the red, green and blue content of the colour directly below the sensor. So you can use these to detect the different objects that you need to pick up. It also has 2 motors, controlling the left and right wheels. You can control these 2 motors independently, and you can control both their speed and direction by setting the motor power to be a value between -5 and 5, where 5 is the maximum speed forwards, -5 is the maximum speed backwards, and 0 is stationary. There is also an LED fitted to the back of the robot which you can flash or just have steady on, which you'll need in accordance with the rules when you have picked up an object or recognised an object deposition area. So how do these different sensors work, and what values are they going to return to you when you're programming? Ultrasound sensors send out a sound pulse of ultrasonic frequency. The pulse is sent out and is then reflected by objects and then reflected to the receiver. The time between sending and receiving the wave can be used to determine the distance the object is from the ultrasound sensor. The sensor returns a distance in centimetres between 0 and 255. This can be used to detect walls or objects in front of the robot. The colour sensors. Each colour sensor returns a red, green and blue value. So we have here some examples of colours and the RGB values, the red, green, blue values that are returned for each colour. For example, this bluey purple colour here has 103 red content, 42 green and 203 blue. Each of the RGB values will be a value between 0 and 255. And any combination of these RGB values can give you any colour. So each sensor will return you 3 values. We also have the compass sensor. This measures the angle in degrees and returns a value between 0 and 360. The 0 degrees position is defined as facing the scoring board, and we will explain that later. So now we're going to look at manually controlling the robot in the CoSpace environment. Launch the CoSpace environment and select the primary field. That will bring up this screen. And what we're first going to use is this control panel here. Make sure you have the robot tab selected. So looking at this panel, we can select a robot. So let's make sure we've got the blue robot selected here. So that's referring to this blue robot here. We can now see all the sensor values for this blue robot here. So we can see its ultrasound front value, its ultrasound back value, its ultrasound left value, and its ultrasound right value. So we can see that currently the ultrasound front value is about 46 centimetres between the front of the robot and the wall. We can also see the colour sensor values. So we've got the left right value, left green value, and left blue value. We've also got the right red value, right green value, and right blue value. We also have the state variable, which tells you whether you're in world 1 or world 2, so we're currently in world 1. We also have the compass sensor reading and also the time, and this is the time since you've started the program or opened the environment. So now let's manually control the robot. We do this using this panel here. So first of all, we've got a tick selecting that the blue robot is to be controlled, and we can use this joystick here. So we can try and move it forwards a bit. Yes. So you can now see here that the ultrasound front value has massively decreased and the ultrasound back value has increased, showing that the sensor values are updating as we're moving the robot out. So let's move them around a bit. This is not easy to do. Yeah. So we can also see how the colour sensor values are changing as we move around. So let's try and get it on yellow. So the right value here, the right colour sensor here is now above yellow. So as you can see, yellow is predominantly made up of red and green values. So we've got a high value of red and green. So we can also control both robots at the same time by making sure we've got the blue ticked and also the red ticked. So now if I use the joystick, we control both of them, which is even harder to do. Okay. So have a play around with this and see how the sensor values change as you move the robots around.